money that we're putting into prisons, into mental health?
I will do everything that I can. The money that we spend on prisons is largely a state choice, right? We have shifted money away from mental health, away from education, away from our public schools, and away from our public universities, and we have expanded the amount of money that we spend on prisons. Locally, we kind of are doing the same thing as you try to solve more and more problems: homelessness, mental health, all of these issues. If the solution is the police department for all of these, that's the most expensive, least efficient way to solve problems that you might be able to help with. Housing subsidies, social workers, outreach teams. There's a whole bunch of other things that might be more effective. Not might be. They will be more effective. They are more effective. And so that's the way in which we make those choices locally, and I would do everything I could on the board to shift those priorities.
Okay, the term progressive in the national scene, of course, is pretty much up there on the cross, crucified and dead. You know, they're all screaming about it. But the problem is they're trying to say that progressives are not responsible and have no how they're going to pay for all the programs and stuff. In order to ask that question, do you have any specific shovel to the ground sort of ideas, programs, you know, things ready? Like, for example, how do you feel about using community-affected people to hire in programs instead of just having some college person sitting there doing stuff at the local welfare desk? Have somebody affected by it at the local desk. Have somebody who was homeless working at the homeless agencies. How can you direct the city to make that our jobs program?
That's the ideal, and we have to do that at every level, whether it's a poor community that's getting development, or whether it's government jobs, or whatever it is. You want to be getting people who are affected by programs, lifting them up, and then having jobs.
Yeah. So is that one of the things
that would be something I would work on. I think in terms of the premise that progressive is not is sort of a notion nationally that we don't like. You know, if you ask people, if you really show people, which is it, the progressives or the conservatives who actually make the deficit better, or who pay attention to the economy, I actually would submit that conservatives do a worse job nationally, and I would submit that at the local level it is actually progressives who are more responsible about budget than frankly a mayor who decided that he would do a Schwarzenegger budget in the city, that he would insist on no new revenue, and that he would not take a realistic approach to police or fire budgets.
I'll make it short because I know everybody wants to eat, but thank you. I think everybody's talking about it, even though I lived in 10 years ago, before you were born. I kind of and it's still the same mess. But as I said, when we're really talking about it, I think they talk about is the corruption is insidious. Yeah, I'm psychic Frank, by the way. And I can see you haven't been corrupted yet, so it's really good. Pacifist, and I think the guns are out of control, and this police captain they've gotten out of Arizona is very taser happy. Somehow they're materializing all this money. I'm really afraid of, because we're very active, and to be tasered, you know. I'm really crazy about the tasers. I'm really freaked out about tasers, you know. Because I'm not violent. I'm a pacifist, so guns are an epidemic, no matter where you live. I lived in Europe, you're just trying to go through. As I say, you haven't been corrupted. I understand that.
And there's some evidence that they become then much more likely to use them, and that can be a real problem and cause, health problems.
Especially if you mistake a gun.
And if you mistake a gun and you're shooting someone. The other on corruption, politics is corrupt. I mean, here's the reality of politics.
Let's not affirm that. You know, let's not use our throat sharper that way.
Right.
You know, that's we
want to change it, but it's partly it is constantly.
Yeah, see, that scares me, because you haven't been corrupted yet, and somebody dangles something in front of you. As I'm saying, with that kind of attitude, you're just going to be one of them. You got to really change your attitude. No, we can change this. Well, why are you doing that? No, if you got the balls to do this, you've got the balls to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. We all say, well, that's the way it is. Well, that's why we're where we are now, because everybody's got that attitude. Right. You got to change that attitude. That's why I'm here. That's why I've been volunteering here. That's why for the last 10 years I've been volunteering doing hearings at all these parishes totally exploited the poor for their own financial exploitation to the max. Called the big cannabis coup. So anyway, we don't, so please, we'll have to talk. I'll do this recession.
I have one quick question. Okay, so you have the endorsement of Compost, Amiano, and Mercury.
Right.
And those were very active individuals. And we've seen from, as you said, how you vote on certain things, but I wonder, coming from a development background, wanting to tackle the issues that you mentioned, you seem to have the tools in place to do so, but I'm wondering, what will you do? Like, what's one of the projects you want to do actively if you were in tomorrow? Say, all right, I'm going to push this through, I'm going to try to get this to happen. What is it? What's your
Well,
thing?
partly what it would be great to have a supervisor do is actually live, and in this is definitely a District 8 kind of like set of concerns, but I think that neighborhood groups often develop expertise around what they want their neighborhood to be like. And I would say DuBois Triangle Neighborhood Association is an example of this. They have people who really think about, like, what do we want from our neighborhood? And they're not necessarily NIMBYs. They just spend a lot of time thinking about what they want. And I've seen sometimes these groups are in front of the Board of Appeals because a developer's trying to do something and wants something that's different from what the community and the neighborhood wants. In those situations, I'm going to be real likely to just turn to the community, turn to the neighborhood, and ask them to lead me on what they want. And then I want to use the skills and tools that I have to help them either get the thing that they want from the developer or be able to say no to the developer. And I just don't think there's actually enough of that in City Hall right now. So that's sort of what when I say I'll bring, I don't have like a vision of I want this set of projects to happen. I want to help the community figure out what it wants. And, there's development should happen in Upper Market. The thing that I would like that, might be my contribution is, one is the process, but two is the stuff that gets short shrift in some of those community processes right now is, frankly, housing affordability and diversity, right? And to the extent that my little finger on the scales, the supervisor is just one voice and you're a mediator and you're bringing together lots of people, but to the extent that I can try to get a little more housing affordability into that mix, I would want to do that. There's something like 10 projects that are conceptualized for Upper Market. None of them have senior development, none of them have elite development, and none of them have more than the minimum requirement of affordability that I'm aware of. I think we might want to take another look at that.
Yeah. Absolutely, without doubt. That's kind of scary. You had 10 different projects and not one of them.
I would have to check that, but I can't think of one that is for something other than market rate condo development. Above.
Open House hasn't been.
But Open House isn't going into Upper Market. Well, that's 55 Laguna. 55 Laguna, okay, so that's a project, and that's the result of a supervisor being very active. That's Ross Mirkarimi coming in with affordable housing activists from the community and saying, you know what, there has to be some affordability here.
Hi, my name is John Sugar, and I head the Gay Artists and Writers Collective. We're going to have an event April 3rd at Magnet. The address is 4122 18th Street, and there will be 4 live bands, lots of queer musicians, spoken word, comedy, and interesting and lively discussion about the sit-lie law, featuring Raphael, Mandelman, Starchild, and John Sugar as moderator.